It's your girl Raw, back at it like DJ Kelly said, with uh, another one. With another one, y'all. So, real quick, y'all see the title? What have we learned? What have we learned so far? Raw, what is you talking about, girl? Well, let me tell you. Oh yeah, live rules. Keep it cute, okay? Um, but Raw, what is you talking about? What is you talking about? What have we learned so far? So far, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the story of Adam and Eve, right? We got to go back to the beginning. Yes, I'm gonna keep going back there because it's been on my spirit lately. Um, the story of Adam and Eve, but this part of the story wasn't about the. I mean, it was about the apple or whatever fruit it was, the fruit from the tree. See, we always talk about the fruit, but we never talk about the actual tree that the fruit came from because without the tree, the fruit wouldn't even been able to be there. So let's talk about the trees. It was two trees in the garden. It was the tree of life that they had free will to eat from all day, every day. There was only one tree they could eat from, and that was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Then we have the tree of life. Now, the fact that, and it's just hitting me now, I'm just having, I'm just asking, what have we learned? Share your comments and thoughts in the comment section below. Quote scriptures and all that great stuff, please, please. Because I'm just in my car right now, so I don't have the scriptures with me, but we'll be back at this again. But back to it. So the fact that there was a tree of life, then the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. One thing I thought about is what if God was trying to see how long we can obey him and fight temptation? Are we strong enough? It was a test, but we know how that part of the story went, right? So back to the trees. Now that we know what life is like after eating the fruit from the knowledge of good and evil, they never said in the Bible that they did not have knowledge prior to eating of the fruit. They just knew we can do all these things, but we just can't touch this one. And the tree was the knowledge of good and evil. It wasn't a tree of knowledge. It wasn't. See, people like to just leave it at that, the tree of knowledge, and try to think that God just wanted everybody to be walking around here stupid. No, it was the tree of knowledge of good and evil, so you can know what's bad and what's good. These people was walking around naked in the garden, but God didn't give them. He didn't tell them what was good or bad because he was allowing everything that they had going on was good. The only thing bad you could do was to eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That was the only bad thing you could possibly do. Everything else was a go. So we had knowledge. So now that we're living, so back to present day, now that we're living in this time, what do people search for? Everlasting life. Everybody want to live for everybody ever, and nobody wants to die. Where do you think that came from? We ate the fruit. Now we didn't lived all this life And now we want to go back to living everlasting life when we had it from the beginning. That's why God said, don't eat from the tree. Because that tree ain't going to be able to offer you what you already have with no punishment. But we just had to know. Some things are like, if you know, you know. You know how you just know? I don't think that's a good idea. And you just go off of that. And that's what we had, what people like to call intuition. If you know, you know. So when are we going to stop trying to know everything? Because it has gotten us nowhere. We was better off the way we once were. If you get what I'm trying to say. That's just a thought that I wanted to share. What have you learned? And yes, we're talking about Adam and Eve, but we was talking about the trees, not so much of their situation. We know what happened, but we're looking at the trees. It was a tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Never said they didn't have knowledge. They just didn't have knowledge of good and evil. So eating from that tree actually made them dumber because at this point now, oh shoot, we're naked. Now we think it's bad. And then you try to hide from an all seeing God. I'm just saying. I'm just dropping bombs. Think about it. So you can add your comments and questions at the bottom in the comment section. I just wanted to drop that on there and share that with y'all because that was just something I was thinking about, and I wanted to know what what have y'all learned? What have you come to? What was your interpretation of that? Because this is my interpretation of that situation at this time. As we grow in the spirit, your interpretation changes over time. That's why people be like, well, how they get that out the Bible and how they get that because of life experiences. That's like you watching a movie as a kid and then going to rewatch that movie as an adult. You're going to have a different experience. You're going to see different things. You're going to notice a lot of different things. You're going to, a lot of different things. The movie won't hit you the same as it will hit you as you were a child. That's the same with the scripture. That's the same with the word. It's the exact same story, but you got a different interpretation of the story now because you're older and wiser. So the older and wiser you get with the Lord, you can read that same scripture and throughout your life, depending on what you got going on, you can grasp onto different interpretations of it depending on what's going on in your life. So no, the word didn't change. And sometimes people, yeah, some people, but we ain't talking about that. But if the word hits you, you can read the same scripture. Pick a scripture and read it for a day. I mean, read it for a year and see how that scripture touch you in many different ways. Because God created us in his image. That's how. If God's not dumb, his image and his likeliness, if he's not dumb, we're not dumb. He may not have gave us all the information, but he didn't create us to be idiots, you know? But yeah, that's what I have to share with you guys today. Peace, love, and hair grease. Till we meet again. It's your girl, Raw. And leave some comments at the bottom if you want. Peace.